Before we begin, I want you to take a breath, because what you are about to hear is not just a story about a dog and a man. It is a story about the oldest question love has ever asked. What happens to devotion when the world pulls two souls apart and time keeps moving without their permission? What happens to a bond when one half of it simply disappears? And most importantly, can something that pure, something that wordless and ancient and real, actually survive 3 years of silence? It was a Tuesday in late October, the kind of morning that already smells like goodbye, where the sky is the color of old dishwater and the leaves on the ground are brown and wet, and they press against the pavement like they are trying not to be taken away by the wind. Leo had been awake since 4 in the morning. His apartment was half packed, half destroyed, cardboard boxes taped and stacked with the kind of aggressive efficiency that people use when they are trying not to feel what they are actually feeling. He was moving, not just across town, across the country. A job offer in another city, the kind that arrives once and does not wait for you to decide if you are ready. Cooper was 3 years old at the time, a mixed breed, mostly shepherd, with a coat the color of burnt autumn and one singular defining feature that everyone who ever met him noticed immediately. A white patch on his chest, shaped almost perfectly like a crescent moon, sitting right over his heart like he had been marked there intentionally. Cooper had been with Leo since he was 8 weeks old. He had slept at the foot of Leo's bed every single night for 3 years. He had learned the exact sound of Leo's specific key in the lock versus any other key in any other lock. He had memorized the precise smell of Leo's morning coffee routine, the cedar wood of his old flannel shirts, the particular warmth that radiated from him when he sat by the window to read on quiet Saturday afternoons. Cooper did not understand what boxes meant. He understood that something was different. He kept pressing against Leo's legs as he carried things down the apartment stairs to the moving truck. He kept circling back. He kept checking. And then it happened in the way that the worst things always happen. Not dramatically. Not with a thunderclap or a cinematic score. It happened in a gap. A brief, ordinary, unremarkable gap in attention. The neighbor's gate had been left unlatched. A delivery truck backfired on the street, and the sound split the air like a gunshot. Cooper bolted. Pure animal panic, all instinct and adrenaline, his paws on the wet concrete, slipping slightly as he rounded the corner. Leo dropped the box he was carrying. He shouted Cooper's name. He ran. He ran hard and fast down that street, and the next one and the one after that, calling Cooper's name until his voice broke, and the word stopped sounding like a word and started sounding like a wound. He searched for 4 hours. He called animal shelters. He posted on every neighborhood app and social media platform he could think of. He printed flyers that evening in a convenience store, his hands shaking slightly as he pressed the button on the photocopier. He taped those flyers to poles and fences and community boards all across his neighborhood. And then the moving truck, already delayed, already committed to a timeline that did not care about grief, had to leave. Leo sat in the passenger seat of that truck with the window cracked, looking back over his shoulder at the street that was shrinking behind him, telling himself Cooper would be found. Someone would call. The shelter would reach out. This was not the end. The city grew smaller in the side mirror, and the silence began. Now I want you to imagine something. I want you to try to hold this in your mind. Really hold it. Not as an idea, but as a feeling. Imagine you are Cooper. You do not understand cities. You do not understand moving trucks or job offers or 2,000 miles or phone calls or flyers. You understand smell and sound and presence. You understand the warm mass of another being. The specific heartbeat you have slept next to every night since you could barely walk. And on this Tuesday morning in October, you ran out of fear. And when the fear cleared and you stopped and you looked around, the street was wrong. The smell was wrong. He was not there. You go back to where the smell is strongest. The apartment. But the door is locked now, and the smell inside is fading because the furniture is gone and the windows are closed, and days begin to pass, and the smell gets thinner and thinner until one day you press your nose to the bottom of the door, and there is almost nothing left. Almost. Let me show you the next 3 years the way light shows you things it moves across. In fragments, in seasons, in the quiet accumulation of days that have no names. Winter of the first year. Cooper is surviving on the margins of the city where he was born. He is thinner now, his ribs visible beneath that autumn-colored coat when the light catches him right. He has learned which restaurants leave food near the back alley bins on certain nights. He has learned which people are safe to approach and which are not. He has learned that the world is large and most of it does not belong to him. But he carries something, a piece of cloth, dark red and dark blue flannel fraying at the edges, that he found pressed against a fence near the old apartment one afternoon. It smells like cedar. It smells like coffee. It smells like Saturday mornings by the window. He carries it the way the faithful carry something holy, carefully, with intention, even when it gets wet in the rain, even when it gets muddy. He never lets it go for long. Spring of the second year. A woman named Margaret finds Cooper in her yard one morning and feeds him for 11 days. She almost keeps him. She gives him a bath and lets him sleep on a folded blanket in her kitchen, and she calls him Rusty. He is gentle and grateful, and she loves the way his eyes look when he watches her cook. But on the 12th day, he is gone. He does not know why he leaves. He does not think about it in those terms. He simply feels the pull of something unresolved, like a compass needle that cannot quite settle. And his feet take him back toward the places that hold the right smell, the ghost of the right smell, the memory of the right smell. He takes the flannel with him. Summer of the second year turns to autumn. He is different now, not broken, but weathered. The brightness in his eyes has pulled back behind something more careful, more knowing. He does not greet strangers with the open, bounding enthusiasm of a young dog who has never been lost. He watches first. He waits. He has learned that the world does not always follow through on what it initially seems to offer. But here is the thing about Cooper, the thing that 3 years of cold and hunger and loneliness cannot touch or dim or erode. He does not forget. Dogs do not archive their love the way humans do. They do not put it in a box and stack it with other boxes in some internal storage unit of the past. The love stays active, stays present, stays as immediate and alive as it was on the first day. The flannel is barely a rag now, but the smell, his smell, Leo's smell, is still there if you are a dog pressing your nose into it on a cold night under a park bench. Still there, still true. Third year, Cooper has ranged farther than he should have been able to survive. He has crossed through neighborhoods and green spaces and the strange in-between territories of cities where nature and pavement argue constantly. He is 5 years old now, and his muzzle has the faintest beginning of gray at the edges. He is lean and road-worn, and his paws have calloused into something tougher than they were. But the white crescent moon on his chest is exactly as it always was. Like the only thing about him, the world was not allowed to change. Now let me show you Leo. Leo is in a different city, a bigger one. He has built what most people looking from the outside would call a good life. He has a small apartment with good light and a job he does not hate, and a few friends he meets for dinner on Fridays. He runs in the mornings. He cooks reasonably well. He is, by the observable metrics of a functioning adult life, okay. But his apartment has no dog, and everyone who knows Leo well enough will tell you that there is a quality to his silences that was not there before. A particular kind of stillness that occupies the corners of rooms where something warm used to be. He still sometimes reaches down, mid-conversation, the way dog owners do, reaching for the soft top of a head that is not there. He catches himself. He straightens up. He moves on. He drove back to his old city once, about 8 months after the move. He told himself it was for other reasons, but he drove slowly past the old neighborhood. He looked at the poles and fences where he had taped the flyers. Most of them were gone. One remained, pressed against a telephone pole and bleached nearly white by sun and rain. Cooper's face barely a ghost of a photograph now. The phone number faded into the paper like it was trying to disappear. Leo sat in his car and looked at that faded poster for a long time. He did not take it down. He drove away and he told himself that was a period at the end of a sentence. And he more or less believed it. More or less. Here is something that science will actually tell you, and I find it extraordinary. A dog's brain dedicates a proportionally massive amount of its neural real estate to the processing of smell. Their olfactory cortex is, relative to brain size, 40 times larger than a human's. They can detect individual scent components in concentrations nearly 100,000 times lower than anything a human nose can register. But beyond the raw mechanics of it, there is something that researchers in animal cognition have been increasingly willing to say out loud in recent years. Smell for a dog is not just identification. It is memory. It is emotion. It is the closest thing they have to a photograph of someone they love. The scent of a specific person is connected, neurologically and emotionally, to everything that person meant. The safety, the warmth, the belonging, the home. Which brings us to the afternoon of September 14th, 3 years after the day of the silence. Leo is sitting on a bench in a park near his apartment. He is reading, or trying to read, one of those Saturdays where the light is soft and the air smells like the very beginning of autumn and the pages keep losing him to the sky. He has a paper coffee cup in one hand. He is wearing a flannel shirt, dark red and dark blue, the kind he has always preferred. Cedar from the small block he keeps in his closet. Old habits, old fabric. He is not thinking about Cooper. He is just sitting, half present in the way humans sit when they are resting, but not quite settled. And then, approximately 20 feet away on the path that curves through the park, a dog stops. He is muddy. His coat is tangled at the edges. He is thin in the way of an animal who has been feeding himself from the margins for a long time. He carries a piece of cloth in his mouth, dark and fraying, unrecognizable as anything specific. He was trotting along the path with his nose working the ground when something in the air changed. I want you to think about what that moment is like from the inside of his experience. Imagine that you have been carrying a photograph in your chest for 3 years. Not a photograph made of paper, but one made of smell and sound and warmth, and the specific feeling of being completely and utterly safe. Imagine that photograph has been your compass point through every cold night and every hungry morning. And then imagine that on an ordinary September afternoon, with the light falling golden through the trees, that photograph suddenly becomes real. The smell of cedar, the smell of coffee, old flannel. The particular layering of those things in that specific combination that exists nowhere else in the world, because every person smells like their own particular composition of everything they are, and everything they use, and everything they love. Cooper stopped. The piece of cloth dropped from his mouth. He lifted his head. His nose worked the air with the focused, trembling concentration of an instrument being calibrated towards something almost unbelievably precise. He took 3 small steps forward on the path, his whole body coiled in a kind of unbearable stillness, the way a held breath feels right before it breaks. And then his tail moved. Once, just once. A single tentative half-arc, as though he did not quite trust his own body yet, as though he was asking a question he was terrified to get wrong. Leo had not looked up from his book yet. He did not know there was a dog 20 feet away. He did not know anything was about to change. Cooper took one more step forward, and then his whole body began to tremble, not with cold, not with fear, with something older than either of those things, something so specific to this moment and this man and this smell that it had no name in any language except the language that a dog's body speaks when it is reuniting with the heartbeat it has been looking for across 3 years and 10,000 footsteps, and every night that had no warmth in it. The whimper came first. Soft, almost confused, the sound of an emotion so large it does not know what form to take. Then another. Then Cooper was running. Not the panic run of that morning 3 years ago, but something completely different. A run that was pure arrival, pure homecoming, his paws barely seeming to touch the ground, and Leo looked up from his book at the sound, and his entire body went still. A muddy dog was running toward him, a thin, weathered, road-worn dog with autumn-colored fur, and Leo's brain was already running its own calculations, already doing the thing that human hearts do before human minds catch up. That electric leap of recognition that bypasses all the rational checkpoints. The white patch on the chest, the crescent moon shape, right over the heart, right where it has always been. The coffee cup hit the ground. Leo was on his knees on the grass before he had made any conscious decision to move, and Cooper hit him like everything he had been carrying for 3 years was finally allowed to put itself down. All that weight, all that faithfulness, all that impossible love that had survived by pressing its nose against a piece of flannel on cold nights and finding the smell still there, still real, still worth everything. Cooper was whimpering and pressing and licking, and his whole body was wagging in that full-body way that is not really a tail wag at all, but a whole-body declaration of something beyond joy, beyond relief. And Leo had his arms around this muddy, trembling dog, and he was saying Cooper's name over and over again, and the word broke every single time he said it, fracturing in his throat into something barely recognizable as language. More like breathing, more like the sound a person makes when something they had agreed to live without suddenly gives itself back. People in the park stopped walking and looked over. Some of them did not know what they were looking at. They just knew it was true. The way you know certain things, not with your mind, but with some older part of you that has been accumulating human experience for generations and knows what it looks like when something lost comes home. Leo pressed his face into the fur at Cooper's neck, and he stayed there for a long time. He was shaking. Cooper was still whimpering softly, but it was settling now into something quieter, something that had stopped asking the question because the question had been answered. He pressed himself as close to Leo's chest as physically possible, right against that heartbeat, the one he had memorized at 8 weeks old and carried in his body through 3 winters and 3 summers and every mile in between. The flannel piece lay on the path a few feet away, muddy and ragged and barely recognizable, the smell of it still true. Let me ask you something, and I want you to sit with this question genuinely. Not just move past it, but actually feel it. What is the nature of the love that does not forget? We talk about human love and its complications and its conditionality and the way it curdles sometimes under the pressure of time and distance and the ordinary grinding friction of 2 complicated people trying to hold on to each other through all of life's disruptions. We understand love as something that requires maintenance, communication, reciprocity, something that can be damaged or diluted or eventually lost if not tended carefully enough. And then there is this. There is a dog who carried a piece of cloth through 3 years of hard living because it smelled like someone who mattered. There is a dog whose internal compass never stopped pointing toward one specific heartbeat, even when that heartbeat was 2,000 miles away, and the world offered him 11 warm days in a kitchen and a woman who called him Rusty and almost meant it. There is a love that did not require explanation or reciprocity, or even the basic reassurance that it would eventually be rewarded. It simply continued. It simply persisted. It simply was. And I think we talk about dogs with this slightly patronizing tenderness sometimes, like their love is simpler than ours, less sophisticated, less nuanced, like it counts for less because it does not come with all the complexity and the doubt and the hard-won maturity of human attachment. But what if we have it exactly backwards? What if the kind of love that does not calculate its own cost or condition its continuation on outcomes or protect itself with the armor of reasonable expectations is not simpler love, but the most sophisticated form of it? What if a dog's loyalty is not the training wheel version of devotion, but the graduate seminar? Cooper did not know if he would ever find Leo again. He had no reason to believe the search would succeed. He had no framework for hope in the abstract intellectual sense that humans have it. He had only the smell of cedar and coffee and old flannel, and the knowledge, written in every cell of him, that this smell meant home. And he kept moving toward it, even when he did not know where it was. Even when all he had was the echo of it pressed against a piece of cloth. Here is what I believe, and I believe it with everything in me. A dog's love is not measured in time. It is not tallied by days or months or years. It does not know the difference between 3 hours and 3 years the way our clocks do. It exists in something closer to pure frequency. The heartbeat of the person they love becomes a frequency that runs underneath everything, underneath every cold night and every hungry day, underneath the whole long difficult journey of being lost in a world that is enormous and mostly indifferent. And that frequency does not fade. It does not get quieter with distance or weaker with time. If anything, it gets clearer. Because when everything else falls away, when the warmth and the food bowl and the soft bed and the daily rhythms of a shared life are all stripped back by circumstance, what remains is the essential signal, the truest thing, the part that was never really about the comfort or the routine or even the presence, the part that was about the specific irreplaceable frequency of one heartbeat in a world full of heartbeats that are not that one. That is what Cooper carried in his chest for 3 years. That is what he pressed his nose to in the cold nights when the flannel was all he had. That is what he was running toward on the path in the park on a September afternoon when the light was golden and the air smelled like the very beginning of autumn. And here is the thing I want to leave you with. The thing I want to sit between your ribs and stay there long after you have closed this video and gone back to your day. We think we are the ones who love. We think love is a human invention, our great achievement, our most defining characteristic as a species. We write the songs and the poems and the novels about it. We build the philosophies. We claim it. But maybe what a dog is trying to tell us, what Cooper was trying to tell Leo on that grass in that park with his whole trembling body pressed against a heartbeat he never once stopped searching for, is that we did not invent love. We just discovered it, and the dogs were already carrying it long before we found the words. Leo took Cooper to a veterinarian that evening. He was malnourished, but not critically. He had walked more miles than anyone would ever be able to reconstruct. He had parasites and some minor injuries to his paw pads from years of hard ground. He would recover fully with time and care and food, and the profound restorative power of sleeping at the foot of a bed where he belonged. The veterinarian asked Leo how long Cooper had been missing. Leo said 3 years. She looked at Cooper, who was pressed against Leo's leg with an expression of total and utter settled certainty, like a dog who has reached the end of a very long journey and has absolutely no intention of going anywhere ever again. She said that in her 20 years of working with animals, she had seen many things, but she had never stopped being moved by what dogs carry, by the sheer tenacity of their knowing, by the way they love, as though the world's capacity to disrupt that love is simply not a factor they are willing to account for. Leo looked down at Cooper, and Cooper looked up at Leo with those eyes, the careful, weathered, road-worn eyes that had been weary for a long time but were not weary anymore, and something settled in both of them simultaneously. Something that had been slightly off-center for 3 years found the groove it was supposed to sit in and clicked quietly, finally into place. There is a version of this story that ends with separation. There are thousands of versions of this story that end that way. Dogs and the people who love them, pulled apart by the world's enormous indifference, never finding each other again. And those stories are real, and they are heartbreaking, and I will not pretend otherwise. But this version ends here, on a grass-stained pair of knees, with a piece of ragged flannel a few feet away on a park path. With a white crescent moon on a dog's chest, pressed against the chest of the person who first held him at 8 weeks old, with a heartbeat finding another heartbeat through 3 years of everything the world threw in between them. Sometimes the world takes things from us. Sometimes it takes the things we love most, and it is arbitrary and unfair, and the silence it leaves behind is a specific shape that nothing else fits into. But sometimes, not always, not even most of the time, but sometimes the world also does this. It gives something back. It returns what was taken through some confluence of geography and persistence, and the particular miracle of a dog who never stopped moving toward the smell of cedar and coffee and old flannel. Sometimes the world takes everything away just to prove that some bonds are unbreakable. And if you have ever loved a dog, or been loved by one, you already know exactly what I mean. You have always known. They showed you every single day. Go hug your dog. Right now. Pause this video and go find them and press your face into their fur and hold them for a moment longer than you normally would. Let them feel your heartbeat. Let them remind you what it smells like to be home. If they are gone, hold the memory of them. Let it be a frequency, not an ache. Because if Cooper taught us anything, it is that love does not require presence to continue. It requires only the certainty that the frequency is real and worth carrying. It always is. Thank you for watching, and thank you for staying until the end. You earned it.